Today, we're talking about a region that's on the very edge of a transformation so huge, people are calling it a quantum leap. We're diving into this incredibly ambitious plan to completely redraw the future of Assam. So, what really shapes a region's future? It's always a mix of its history, its culture, and the opportunities that come along. Well, for Assam, a very, very big opportunity has just shown up, and it promises to change just about everything. Think about it like this. On one hand, you have the Assam that most of us know, famous for its incredible tea, rich culture, and its role as this crucial gateway. But on the other hand, there's this vision of something completely different. A high-tech hub, a leader in clean energy, a real player on the global stage. So the big question is, how on earth do you get from one to the other? Okay, so before we can really grasp the sheer scale of this leap, we need to understand the starting point. Let's take a quick look at the Assam that exists today. For a long, long time, this has been Assam's story, right? A place defined by its world-famous tea, its absolutely stunning natural beauty, and its vital position connecting India to the entire Northeast. This is the foundation, the very ground from which this new future is supposed to launch. So what kicks off a change this massive? Well, it all boils down to one single, incredibly powerful catalyst, an investment that is just staggering. Just take a moment and let that number sink in. 50,000 crore rupees. This isn't just an investment, it's a massive statement of intent. A number so big it has the power to fundamentally rewrite the economic story of an entire region. So where's all this coming from? The investment is from Reliance Industries. And let's be clear, this isn't just about building a couple of factories. No way. This is a complete blueprint with one single audacious goal: to totally redefine what is possible for Assam. All right, so what does a 50,000 crore blueprint for change actually look like in practice? Well, it's all built around 4 core pillars. And here's the breakdown. See, this isn't a plan to just boost one single industry. It's a multi-front approach, going after holistic development. It's targeting technology, clean energy, job creation, and global integration all at the same time. Let's touch on each one. First up, technology. The whole idea here is to build a brand new digital backbone for the region. It's all about moving Assam's economy beyond its traditional roots and creating the infrastructure that will fuel innovation for decades. It's about future-proofing. Next, we've got clean energy. Now, this is a huge piece of the puzzle. The goal here isn't just growth for the sake of growth, it's sustainable growth. It's about powering Assam's new era with green energy, and maybe even becoming a model for the rest of the country. Of course, none of this tech or energy means a thing without the people. So a massive part of this blueprint is designed to be a job creation machine. And we're not just talking about more jobs, but entirely new kinds of careers in fields like tech and green energy, making sure the benefits are felt by everyone. And finally, there's global integration. The ambition here is to completely transform Assam's role. It's about thinking bigger than just a gateway to the Northeast. The vision is for Assam to become a strategic hub connecting India to Southeast Asia and, really, the rest of the world. This is about putting Assam on the global map. Now, the term they're using to describe this whole thing is very specific, and it's really important. It's not just growth or improvement. They're calling it a quantum leap. And this is a really crucial distinction to make. We are not talking about slow, steady progress, small changes year over year. A quantum leap means a radical, fundamental shift. It's a sudden jump into a completely different kind of future. So let's bring all these pieces together. When you take this kind of massive investment and you pair it with a blueprint that's focused on technology, clean energy, new jobs, and global connection, what you get is a vision for a completely redefined Assam. There's a line from the investment blueprint itself that I think just says it all. This is not business as usual. That one sentence tells you everything, doesn't it? It's a clear signal that the old ways of doing things are being intentionally left behind for something much, much bigger. Look, a blueprint is a plan, not a guarantee. But all the pieces are now in place for what could be one of the most remarkable regional transformations we have ever seen. So what happens when a region that's long been seen as kind of a remote outpost suddenly becomes a hotspot for corporate investment? Well, today, we're exploring the incredible story of Assam in India's northeast and how it's transforming from a forgotten frontier into a new engine of economic growth. And we're not just talking about a trickle of investment here. It's more like a flood. Some of India's biggest corporate giants are making a major bet on Assam. Now, this isn't some random gamble. It's a calculated, strategic move that signals a massive shift. So what do they see that others have missed for so long? This is the big question we're going to unpack. For decades, the story of Assam's economy was pretty simple. You had tea and you had oil. But now, that story is being completely rewritten. What's changed to create this sudden, intense focus from the corporate world? And here's our first clue. This isn't just about a simple transaction. Money in, profit out. What we're witnessing is something much, much deeper. It's a fundamental shift in the region's identity, its economy, and its future. It's about potential that's finally being unlocked. To really get what's going on, we need to look at the story of this shift. It's a classic narrative, really, about reversing a long-standing trend. Let's see how this all builds into the opportunity we're seeing today. This slide right here really captures the heart of the change. For generations, the story was one of departure. The best and the brightest from Assam had to leave to build their careers. This brain drain, it was just a fact of life. But now, that entire flow is being reversed. The new mission is all about bringing those opportunities back home. Okay, so the big question is, how is this happening? What's fueling this dramatic reversal? Well, it's not magic, and it's definitely not a coincidence. It's the result of several powerful forces all coming together at the perfect time. In fact, we can boil this whole complex transformation down to 3 core drivers. Just 3. And understanding these 3 pillars is the key to understanding everything that's happening in Assam right now. And here they are for us: geography, demographics, and policy. Each one is a big deal in itself, but when you put them together, they create this powerful engine for growth. Let's break them down one by one. First up, location, location, location. For years, being in the Northeast was seen as a disadvantage. It was just too remote. But now, with India's Act East policy, Assam's position is a huge strategic advantage. It's no longer the edge of the country. It's the gateway to the booming economies of Southeast Asia. Next, it's all about the people. Assam is seeing a demographic dividend. We're talking about a massive population of young, skilled, and really ambitious individuals. This isn't just a workforce, it's a wellspring of human capital ready to build, innovate, and drive the economy forward. And finally, none of this would happen in a vacuum. The third driver is deliberate, supportive government policy. There's a real focused effort to develop the Northeast, cutting red tape and actively encouraging private companies to come in and invest. This creates that stable, predictable environment that businesses absolutely need to thrive. So when you combine that strategic location, a dynamic young population, and supportive policies, that old narrative of a forgotten frontier just kind of dissolves. And in its place, a new frontier emerges, one built on incredible opportunity. And this quote just brilliantly brings us back to the heart of this entire transformation. It's not just about corporate balance sheets, right? It's about reversing that brain drain, building local pride, and creating a future where the best opportunities are right there at home. So this leaves us with a final and pretty compelling question. Is Assam's story a one-off, or have we just seen the new blueprint for unlocking potential in development?
So let's talk about Assam, the Indian state where a full-scale green energy revolution is really starting to take shape. And we're not just talking about building a few new power plants here and there. No, this is a truly ambitious strategy, one that's aiming to completely transform the region's entire power landscape.
And it all comes back to a simple but really profound truth, doesn't it? If you think about it, for any society to really leap forward, to innovate, to build a better future, it all starts with one fundamental building block: a steady, dependable source of power. Without that, nothing else really works.
So what's the vision behind this whole thing? Well, it's really built on 3 powerful ideas. See, this isn't just about getting more energy, it's about getting the right kind of energy. First, it has to be clean, to protect the environment. Second, it has to be bold, something that makes a real decisive impact. And finally, it's got to be future-ready, creating a path that's sustainable for generations down the line.
All right, so let's dive into the first pillar of this strategy, and this is where things get really clever. It starts right at the grassroots level with something called bioenergy, and the core idea is simple, but man, is it powerful. It's all about turning waste into wealth.
So what does that mean exactly? Well, the specific tech here is called compressed biogas, or CBG for short. And the concept is just beautifully simple. You basically take all that stuff that's normally left over after a harvest, all the agricultural waste, and you convert it into a clean, totally usable fuel.
And the process itself is pretty straightforward. It's basically a circular system. You'll have these large CBG plants set up across the state. They'll go around, collect all that farm waste, run it through a conversion process, and boom, out comes this clean fuel that can power everything from vehicles to local industries. It's a closed loop.
This is where you see that economic transformation, right there in a nutshell. Think about it. What was once considered just useless garbage, something you just discard, suddenly becomes this incredibly valuable resource. It's a total shift in perspective. You're literally turning wasteland into wealthland.
But here's the thing, it's not just about the fuel. The benefits create this incredible ripple effect. I mean, by turning waste into energy, you're not just getting power, you're also reducing pollution. You're creating new jobs out in rural areas. You're giving farmers a whole new stream of income. And you're boosting the entire region's energy security. It is a win on pretty much every single level.
Okay, so that's the bioenergy side of things. Now for the second part of the strategy, and this one is a big one. We're talking about a leap from the agricultural fields straight to the absolute frontier of technology, nuclear power. And this is a historic first for the region.
But hold on. This isn't the kind of old-school nuclear power you might be picturing from the movies. The proposal is focused on a really specific, cutting-edge technology called small modular reactors, or SMRs. So what exactly are they?
Well, SMRs are basically a whole new generation of nuclear tech, and for a few really important reasons. First off, they're a completely clean, carbon-free energy source. That's huge. Second, they provide what's called stable baseload power. That means a constant 24/7 stream of electricity that things like solar and wind, can't always guarantee. And finally, their design is just smarter. Unlike those massive traditional plants, their smaller, modular design makes them inherently safer and way more efficient to build and operate.
By even exploring this kind of technology, Assam is doing way more than just solving a local energy problem. This is a major strategic move. It's basically signaling to the entire world that it's ready to play in the big leagues, to participate in these advanced, next-generation global energy systems. It is a really powerful statement of intent.
And a statement like that, it has a very real-world impact. See, when a region embraces this kind of forward-thinking, high-tech solution, it sends a crystal-clear message to international investors. It tells them, hey, look over here. This is a stable, innovative, and future-focused place to do business. And that right there is a massive, massive confidence boost.
So, when you bring these two ideas together, that's when you see the full picture. This isn't just one single plan. It's a really clever, two-pronged revolution. You're combining the local with the global, the organic with the high-tech, all to build a completely new energy future.
So let's just recap. On one side, you've got bioenergy, right? Taking agricultural waste, turning it into wealth, and creating jobs in rural areas. Then, on the other side, you have this advanced nuclear energy from SMRs, giving you stable, carbon-free power and seriously boosting investor confidence. They're two totally distinct approaches, but they perfectly complement each other to solve the exact same core challenge.
And all of this brings us to the final and maybe the most crucial question. We've just looked at a plan that blends a grassroots agricultural solution with a super high-tech futuristic one. So the question I want to leave you with is this. Could this unique, bold,
Today, we are going to break down a seriously ambitious plan to completely transform the Indian state of Assam into a modern economic powerhouse. We're going to look at how energy, luxury, and logistics are all being woven together to build something totally new.
And it all comes down to this one sentence. This is the core idea, the guiding light behind every single decision in this massive strategy. It's this simple thought. To attract the best tech talent and the biggest investors, you need way more than just office parks. You need a complete, high-quality ecosystem for them to live and work in.
So, here's our game plan. We'll kick things off with the big picture vision. Then we'll dive deep into the two main pillars, energy and infrastructure. And finally, we'll connect all the dots to see how this is all shaping Assam's future. Now, the goal here is absolutely massive. We're not talking about just small, gradual changes. The ambition, plain and simple, is to make Assam a top-tier, go-to destination for technology and international business.
Okay, but having a vision is one thing. Actually making it happen, that means getting the fundamentals right. And it all begins with the most basic need of our modern world, power.
I mean, think about it. You can't run data centers, you can't have advanced factories, you can't even run a modern city without a totally rock-solid energy grid. Assam's plan is tackling this head-on with a really clever two-part strategy, and it starts with a solution that's surprisingly local.
This right here is all about reframing a problem. So instead of looking at agricultural byproducts as just, well, waste, the plan sees them as a valuable resource. This waste-to-wealth idea is designed to fight pollution while creating clean fuel and, get this, a whole new income stream for farmers. And this shows just how simple and effective that cycle is. You see it right there. Step 1, collect local waste from farms. Step 2, process it in brand new bioenergy plants. And step 3, use that clean fuel to power the local economy. It's a self-sustaining loop that builds energy security right from the ground up.
Now, this bioenergy plan is a fantastic foundation, for sure. But to power a premier tech hub, the kind that attracts huge global companies, you need something that provides massive, stable, and carbon-free power 24/7. No interruptions.
And that brings us to these, small modular reactors, or SMRs. Basically, these are the next generation of nuclear tech. They're designed to be much smaller, way safer, and a lot more efficient than the giant nuclear plants you might be picturing.
So why does this matter so much? Well, SMRs provide clean, constant power, the kind of baseload energy that renewables, for all their benefits, can't always guarantee. And here's the real kicker for investors. High-tech industries like data centers or chip factories absolutely cannot afford a single second of downtime. Stable power isn't a bonus, it's a requirement. So adopting SMRs sends a huge signal to the world that Assam is serious, it's future-focused, and it is ready for big league tech.
Okay, so with the power grid getting sorted, let's look at the other side of that core philosophy, creating a world-class lifestyle. This is all about building the actual physical environment that will attract and keep top talent and business leaders.
And talk about a statement of intent, a 7-star hotel. Look, this isn't just about giving people another nice place to stay. This is about creating a center of gravity for the CEOs, the investors, the deal makers, the people who expect a certain, very high standard when they travel. This puts Assam on the map for the world's elite executives.
And the target audience here isn't just vacationers. It's the global investors flying in to look at new sites, it's the international business groups coming to sign major deals, and yeah, it's the high-end tourists whose very presence helps elevate the entire region's brand.
A world-class lifestyle also means world-class shopping and logistics. And this chart really just shows you the incredible scale of the commitment here. Reliance Retail is planning to more than double its footprint, going from 400 stores to over 800. That is a massive vote of confidence and a huge investment in the state's economy.
You know, the ripple effects of this kind of expansion are just enormous. It's not just about more places to shop, it means thousands of new jobs, a stronger and more efficient logistics network crisscrossing the state, and, this is really crucial, it gives local producers and artisans a real path to get their products onto a national stage.
So we have these huge separate-looking pieces: advanced energy, premium hotels, massive retail growth. The big question is, how do they all actually lock together to build this new future for Assam? This chart shows you exactly how it works. It's all one integrated system. The clean energy is there to power the new infrastructure. That premium infrastructure helps attract the investment that fuels all the retail and logistics growth. And all of it, working together, drives jobs and economic growth for everyone. Each piece literally supports the other.
Whenever you hear about some massive corporate investment, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Probably some huge billion-dollar number, right? But what if the real story, the important part, isn't actually in the balance sheets? In this explainer, we're going to dig into an investment where the true return is measured in people, culture, and a much more connected future. It's so easy to just see the headlines and miss what's really going on. But behind every big strategic decision, there are real lives, real communities. See, the true measure of this investment isn't just about profit, it's about progress. Progress for the people it's actually supposed to serve. And this quote, it just nails it. It gets right to the heart of the whole strategy. I mean, that's a pretty bold claim, right? So what does an investment that's about people actually look like in the real world? Well, let's break it down. It really comes down to 3 core pillars. All right, first up, the economic engine. We're talking about creating jobs. I mean, this is the foundation, right? Everything else is built on top of this. Okay, so the big question is, just how big of an impact are we talking about here? Is this just a small ripple, or is it a genuine tidal wave of new opportunities? Oh, yeah, it is absolutely a wave. We're talking thousands and thousands of new roles. But here's the really smart part. It's not just about the number of jobs, it's about the variety. You've got everything from high-tech IT roles to essential jobs in retail, energy, and hospitality. By spreading the investment around like this, you're not putting all your eggs in one basket. What you end up with is a much more stable, resilient job market that has something for almost everyone. Look, creating jobs is fantastic, but it can't come at the expense of a region's cultural heritage. And that's exactly why the second pillar of this whole strategy is all about bridging that gap between tradition and technology. And the idea here is just so cool. It's all about weaving these timeless traditions right into the fabric of our modern digital world. It's not about replacing old skills, not at all. It's about taking them and giving them a massive global stage. Let me show you a perfect example of how this actually works. Okay, so here's how it works on the ground. You've got these incredible artisans, the Suokuchi silk weavers. They have skills that have been passed down through generations, but they've often struggled to reach a wider market. So what happens? An initiative like Reliance Swadesh comes in and basically builds a bridge. It creates this digital platform, a global storefront that connects their beautiful, handcrafted work directly with buyers all over the world. It's a game changer, really. It means their craft doesn't just survive, it actually thrives. All right, so we've talked about bridging cultural gaps. Now let's talk about bridging the digital divide. This third pillar uses technology to make sure essential services, things like healthcare and education, are available to everyone, no matter where they live.
So what's powering this change? It's AI, artificial intelligence. And look, this isn't some far-off science fiction stuff. We're talking about practical real-world applications. Just think of AI as a tool, right? A tool that can analyze health data to help with a diagnosis or create personalized lesson plans for students. It's about solving real problems that people face every single day.
So let's get concrete. What does this actually do for people? Well, in healthcare, you've got remote diagnosis using AI. Suddenly, a top specialist expertise isn't stuck in a big city. It can reach anywhere. And in education, things like smart classrooms give kids in rural areas the exact same digital tools as students in the city. And the outcome of all this? It's huge. It starts to level the playing field, closing that gap between urban and rural opportunities. Okay, so when you take these three pieces, creating jobs, preserving culture, and providing better access to services, and you put them all together, what do you get? Well, you get this powerful blueprint for what's called an inclusive growth model. And the formula behind it is actually pretty simple, but it's incredibly powerful. You start by creating jobs because people need economic stability. At the same time, you preserve culture, which gives a community its identity. And then you boost both of those by making sure people have access to great healthcare and education. See how it all connects? It's a holistic approach where each part makes the other parts even stronger. And all of this brings us to one final, really important question. The model we've just walked through, it offers one potential answer, but it really challenges all of us to think about what's possible when we decide to put people, not just profits, at the very center of our plans for the future. So I'll leave you with this. What really happens when growth is designed not just for some, but for everyone?
Today, we're diving into a massive economic plan that's set to completely reshape the future of India's Assam state. Let's get right into it.
So at the very heart of this whole thing is one absolutely massive number, 50,000 crore rupees. We're talking about an investment on a scale that's not just about building roads or factories, it's about forging a whole new identity for the region.
And that's exactly the point. This isn't just about money changing hands. The sources are really clear on this. It's meant to be a powerful declaration, a statement of intent for Assam and really for all of Northeast India. So you gotta ask, what is this statement actually saying? Okay, so what kind of statement does 50,000 crore rupees make? Well, as you're about to see, it's a message loaded with ambition, a sense of readiness, and a vision for a totally different kind of future. You know, when you break it down, these points really tell a story. First, it's a huge signal that Assam is ready to jump into advanced tech. It's basically saying that Northeast India has a place on the global innovation stage. But, and this is important, it's not just about tech for tech's sake. It's a promise that this growth is going to be sustainable and inclusive, all focused on building an economy that's truly ready for the future. But look, beyond all the big numbers and the grand vision, this plan is really about something much more personal. It's about investing in the actual people and the incredible culture that makes this region what it is. And that's the absolute key to understanding this whole thing.
The end goal of all this activity, from shiny new tech hubs to brand new industries, is to make a real, direct improvement in the lives of people in communities all across Assam.
So how do you do that? Well, a huge piece of the puzzle is massive job creation. And we're talking thousands and thousands of jobs, both direct and indirect, creating this really diverse economic ecosystem. See, it's not just about high-tech roles in IT or energy. It's also about building up the backbone of the economy with jobs in retail, logistics, and hospitality. It's this wide net that's designed to create opportunities for all kinds of people with all kinds of skills.
Now here's where things get really interesting. This plan isn't about throwing out the old to make way for the new. Not at all. It's about creating this incredible synergy where tradition and technology actually work together.
And this is a perfect example of what that looks like in practice. You take the iconic Swalkuchig silk weavers. Their craft has been a cornerstone of Assamese culture for centuries. This plan doesn't push them aside, it lifts them up. It uses technology, things like the Reliance Swadesh e-commerce platform, to connect their amazing artistry directly with customers all over the world. It's about using innovation to preserve tradition. It's brilliant. And this same forward-thinking idea is being applied to essential services. The plan calls for using artificial intelligence to help close that age-old gap between cities and rural areas. So think about it. AI-powered remote diagnosis in healthcare, bringing specialist knowledge to villages miles away. We're talking smart classrooms to modernize learning and huge digital literacy programs to make sure everyone has the skills to be part of this new world.
So when you pull all these different threads together, the huge investment, the focus on people, this blend of old and new, what you get is a really powerful new vision for the entire region's identity.
For as long as anyone can remember, Assam has been called the gateway to the Northeast, the main way in and out of the region. This blueprint is trying to change that label completely. The new ambition, the new identity, is for Assam to be the gateway to the future, a hub not just for the region, but for the whole world to see cutting-edge ideas and innovation. This really just sums up the whole story, doesn't it? It's a journey of incredible change. It's about moving from an economy that was once defined by tea gardens to one that's going to be powered by tech hubs. And it's about going from just preserving tradition to using that tradition as the very fuel for transformation. And that leaves us with one final big question to think about. I mean, this is a huge, very specific plan for Assam, but the ideas behind it are universal. So it really makes you wonder, as the whole world tries to figure out how to balance economic growth with cultural heritage and technology, how can a blueprint for one single region become a model for all of